Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. I'm Misha Fayant. We're going to talk about insulin resistance today. Yesterday, I talked a lot about what causes it and some of the scientists who are working on it. So today, I want to go over how you can start to address your insulin resistance problem. What I want everyone to remember is that this is a dietary problem that's affecting us, 93% of us, and 95% of our um, health issues that are lifestyle related are all linked to this. So it's really important to understand that this is not a medication driven disease. You're not deficient in any medications, you're not deficient in, Manjaro, Ozempic, all of that. So what's really going on, we're going to discover that today. I'm going to give you some tips to help you, some foods that you can eat that have been proven recently to help. So let's dive in because this is important. First of all, I want you to understand that is just insulin is just like this key that unlocks our cells to allow energy in. And what's happening is we're eating foods that are so high in energy or glucose that we're constantly elevating our insulin all the time. And when that happens, our cells become inundated and they start to shut down and they're like, I don't want to hear your message anymore. I'm not going to let you in. You were wonderful at one point, but now you're kind of pesky and annoying, right? So that's kind of like a really simplified version of insulin resistance. It's really your energy can't get into your cells because there's too much insulin in your system. And that's all driven by us having glucose that's unregulated. That's the energy source. So let's talk about that. We talked a lot yesterday about how this all happens. Today, I want to go over some of the foods. So the first thing we want to start to get rid of excess sugars from our system, from our diet. That doesn't mean that you can't have them. Some people are more able to eat some of those carby foods and not have extreme insulin resistance. Some people can't really eat any of it at all or they struggle, and it depends on your genetics. So, the first step is understanding that addressing anything that's bagged, boxed, barcoded should be really limited in your diet because they're very high in carbohydrates, most of them, low in nutrients, and low in fiber. And so they're part of what's causing the problem. You can have carbohydrates, but remember, fruits and vegetables are carbohydrates. Even our fruits and vegetables have been changed today because they no longer have the nutrient or fiber content that they used to have, making it really difficult for our body to address our energy needs in a natural way. So, how many of you guys feel like in this crazy busy life we have today that you're eating way too much of these pre-packaged foods? One of the things that really shocked me, I mean, it makes sense, but I just wasn't aware, and so many other people aren't aware, but chains like Applebee's, and I'm not picking on any chain in particular, but a lot of those dinners that you're ordering are already pre-made. They're pre-packaged, and then they just heat them up. They don't have all of this different food going on in the restaurant. They're pre-packaged things that they warm up and then plate and send out to you. So even those are really high in some of these carbohydrates and lessened fiber and lessened nutrients. So just understand that we're surrounded by it, and so limiting those prepared, pre-made foods are going to be one of the biggest things you can do for your health. As much as you can, cook from scratch and lean into the carbohydrates that are more natural. So it's like eat the rainbow. You want to have if you're going to be having carbohydrates as form of vegetables and fruits, you want to have a variety of them. You want to try and stick with things that grow above ground and are deeply colored. That's giving you an idea of nutrient availability in them. But as I was saying, even today's organic and what we would call whole foods are been modified so much that they just don't have the fiber in them that's necessary to control the glucose that we're getting in, but still a much better option than bagged, boxed, barcoded foods, right? That's Dr. Bickman's saying, by the way. I just kind of love it, so it makes it easy. All right, so um, Does anybody have like, I know I was just on a call the other day with or last night with a woman who's struggling with high blood pressure. By the way, she's on the call and she's been doing the system for about 7 months. Her blood sugars are all under control. She just had labs done, labs that were all out of control. Her kidneys, her liver, all of that is in order now that she's been doing the system and doing what I'm talking about. So now we're working on her blood pressure, and we're just hoping that in time that damage reverses as well. You guys understand some of these things that happen in your body don't just change overnight. You don't just eat the rainbow or colorful foods or whole foods for a week or a month and all of a sudden all your ailments go away. No, you spent years creating this dis-ease in our body. It's going to take a little time to reverse that. And I am talking about reversing it, not just masking it, which is what some of the medications do. All right, so we already talked about sugar and carbohydrates, but now we're going to come back to some other foods in a minute. Some of the other things that you can do to start managing your insulin resistance is simply move your body, right? Moving our body allows us to utilize more energy and make us more insulin sensitive. So, part of what's happened with us today is that we all sit behind computers like this. I'm guilty. I used to be much more active than I am now. My job, I get to work from home. I have a desk. I'm often sitting at the computer doing studies, creating videos, making phone calls, but I'm not up and out like I used to be. That starts to make you more insulin resistant because your body just doesn't have the same energy needs that it used to have. So it doesn't, you guys, you don't have to go do some crazy workouts. Yes, some weight bearing exercise to activate the muscles more is important, but I'm not talking about pushing heavy weights like I used to do. I'm talking about even adding 5, 10 pound dumbbells and making your body work a little bit. The biggest place when you're moving your body that's going to help you be more insulin sensitive is below the waist. Your legs are going to use up more of that energy than any other place in the body. So don't skip leg day. Do some walks. Put a backpack on with some weight in it when you go take your walk. That's going to help. Now you're doing a little bit of cardio, light cardio, and you're getting some weight bearing exercise in. What a great way to do it, right? So wake up in the morning, put a little bit of extra weight on your back, go for a walk. Do it 3 times a day for about 10 minutes. You'll start to see change. I hope that makes sense. How many of you guys are actually getting exercise in? Or so if you're actually getting good exercise in, put a 1 in for me. If you're more like me, recently I've been stuck behind a desk a lot and then I'm done and I just, taking a walk is not the first thing on my mind. I got a house to take care of, I got other things to do. 2, if you're kind of stuck behind the desk more. Which one are you guys? Are you more active still? Or are you really kind of in this stuck sedentary lifestyle? You're very, very welcome, Maria. So now one of the other things is with all this exercise, it doesn't all have to be done at once. It can be broken up throughout the day. In fact, better to be broken up throughout the day. We're doing some intermittent fasting with 2 meals a day. So take a walk about 30 minutes after when that food is actually, and taking a walk immediately after isn't as effective as it is about 30 minutes later. 30 minutes later means that the food is actually digesting and starting to hit your small intestine so that you have energy available and you can use it. So walk about or exercise, dance, whatever you're going to do it about 30 minutes after you eat. Not extreme workout, right? Just a walk. So understand that exercise is like WD-40 for your cells. It helps insulin work better. And you don't need to run marathons. You don't need to do those crazy workouts. Just that daily walk can make a difference. All right. So, intermittent fasting, that's one of the other clues to getting insulin under control. And there's a lot of people out there on any of these social platforms that are going to tell you that's not true, that you don't need to do that. What you actually need to do is eat every 2 hours. And that is one of the biggest lies we've ever been told. And yet people are clinging to that lie like it's the end all be all truth of the world. We do not need to eat that often. That's why we're becoming insulin resistant. So someone who's not insulin resistant yet, eating smaller meals every 2 hours, they may see some results initially, but what they're going to do is destroy their metabolism, how it functions, and you're going to increase your insulin, and then you have problems. Insulin takes 8 to 10 hours to come down in the system after you've eaten. So if we're eating every 2 hours and we're stretching that eating window out, we're never allowing insulin to come down so that some of the other amazing things in our body can happen. So, intermittent fasting is how our bodies were built to live. We just don't live that way now because we live in excess. But we're not meant to eat all day long. We're meant to have periods where we feast and then periods where it's basically famine. So, fasting, intermittent fasting. I'm not talking about 3, 5, 10-day fasts. I'm talking about just extend that window for a few hours, and now all of a sudden you're at a 14 to 16-hour fast. 16 hours is great, and I'll explain why later. But that's where you wanna be. Now, why 16 hours? Let's just dive into it real quick, and I wanna answer some questions when I'm done here. So I saw questions come in, and I'm gonna get to them right now. One said they're always hungry. What is this one? Everybody's talking about this product. So, Nishan, there's a reason everybody's talking about it because there's people like me who I went to multiple doctors. I had 13 medications sitting on my counter. I did veganism, I did medical medium, I did all these things and I wasn't getting better. I was getting sicker and I thought that I was not going to be here to see 70. I'm 60 now. I thought if I made it to 65, I would be doing good. And this reversed all of it. It reversed my diabetes. It got lost 50 pounds. I reversed my hypertension, got my teeth and gums to stop bleeding, got my hair to grow in better. So yeah, there's a good reason why everybody's talking about it. It's newer on the scene as a system. And so it's only about 3 years old. But what it's doing is it's showing us that we don't have to do all those medications to address this lifestyle related disorder. And we want everyone to understand this. So, yeah, there's a bunch of us who have gotten results from it. Now, back to intermittent fasting and always hungry. The products help with that. We're going to talk about the hunger piece in a minute. I just put up a video yesterday where I talked about a woman who had she called herself a food addict, and because of these products, she wasn't experiencing that extreme hunger. Okay, so know that. We'll get to that part in a minute. Fasting. What I do want to talk about with fasting is this. Let's go over the timeline really quick so you understand why intermittent fasting is so important with insulin resistance. You eat, say your last meal is at 6. This is just a timeline that is out there. We can shift it anywhere we want it to be. But say you have your dinner at 6. You're simply not going to have the popcorn, chips, cookies, cupcakes, ice cream after dinner. When your dinner's done, you're done. So now, remember, it takes about 2 hours after you eat for your blood sugars to be fully peaked. And then it takes about 4 hours for that energy that you just took in to start to be utilized and go back down in the system. Now, it takes a few hours after that, around 8 hours, before insulin gets the clue and says, oh, hey, they're not eating all the time. I can come down. Now, I don't have to be so present. Pancreas doesn't have to produce so much insulin anymore. Insulin is a hormone. And now we have this place where insulin is asleep. And why is that important? Insulin is a growth hormone. It wants things to grow. So it's going to block fat breakdown. It's going to encourage fat storage. And you're going to gain weight. But because there's so much insulin and the cells aren't getting the clue, you're also not getting the energy you need because it's all going to the fat cells because your other bodily cells are just like, I'm done with you, insulin. You're knocking on my door too much. So 8 hours before we can get insulin down, where we can actually get into a state where we're burning fat for fuel, where we're allowing our body to not experience these frustrations of being inundated with insulin all the time. But it takes a couple hours. It's not like this perfect switch where insulin goes down and the other hormone, the component hormone, glucagon, comes out. It takes a couple hours. Insulin goes down. At some point, the body goes, hey, we don't have more energy coming in. Insulin's not present. We need energy to function. Glucagon comes out, and then it increases the sugar energy back into your bloodstream so the cells can use it. that doesn't always increase your insulin levels. There's back doors for this kind of energy that your body can get them in at this state. So, and I'll get to your question in just a second. But now understand that glucagon, the component glucagon is catabolic. It wants to eat things up. It wants to remove things. So what it's really doing is it's helping us remove these excess stores from our fat cells, from our liver, from these places around the body where inflammation and this excess energy is stored. It starts to eat that up and use it as energy. Now your blood sugars will dip and ebb and flow during your fasting period, even when you're not eating, because glucagon's doing its job. Initially, you may have problems with overproduction of glucagon or glucagon not knowing what to do because you just have never elicited it before. But intermittent fasting is teaching our bodies to go back to the way we're built and utilize those hormones in a way that they've always been meant to be utilized, and we just aren't now. So now, at hour 10 is when glucagon comes out, right? About this is approximate, you guys. Then about 2 hours after, before other things start to get introduced into the system, when glucagon goes up, what happens is it starts to increase things like human growth hormone, which we need to replicate processes in our body. And ketones go up, which is telling us to burn this fat for fuel. It's not telling us to burn muscle for fuel. Intermittent fasting does not mean you're burning muscle. When you have long fasts and you've depleted the fat and the energy out of your system, then it will start to look at the muscle. But your body is innately intelligent. It's not going to utilize muscle during an intermittent fast unless there just is no fat left on your body. Okay, understand that. Now, are there any side effects to the products? So some people may, with the tea, like I have a really acidic stomach. I'm Native American. It's just pretty common. The tea can, from time to time, make my stomach feel a little bit upset. I just choose to have mine in about 30 to 40 ounces of water and sip on it. That seems to solve that. It's just that my gut is different and doesn't always, because of stress, doesn't always deal with this. But that's one thing that you can notice. If you add a little bit of salt to it, electrolytes, it will help. Okay. The other product, the balance, the pre-meal drink, which we're going to talk about both of these in a little bit, can cause some gastrointestinal distress in the first month, maybe a few weeks to a month. And that is because your gut is not used to this level of fiber and having to do the job it's supposed to do. So think about those legs we were talking about earlier. If you haven't gone out, and I haven't done squats in years probably, if I were to go and do even a light squat workout, my legs would be hurting tomorrow. The next day, it's about 48 hours before those DOMs to set in. But my legs are going to ache because I just made them do work that they haven't done for a long time. Your gut's the same. When you start getting a hold of the right kind of fibers in the right amounts that are going to help reduce your glucose levels, your gut has to get stronger. That symptom goes away. There's nothing in the products that makes them interact negatively with any medications you may already be on. Allergies, there are certain people who have allergies. You just need to check that. But they're gluten-free and they're halal. So they're plant-based. There are no animal products in it. Carnivores can have it. Vegans can have it. And both of the products have been purified to help remove pesticides and toxins, making them as clean as they can be in today's world to get to you. So sometimes I feel like, wow, I have this itch in the back of my throat. Sometimes I feel like this is a better choice for fiber just because I know that it's cleaner. I don't know. And without washing drastically all of the foods that come in, and we all should be washing them, but I don't know what pesticides and what contaminants are on the foods that I buy at the grocery store. I know this has been cleaned of it, so that's another reason I use that. Okay, we'll talk about those in a minute. I know I missed some questions. Let's see if what it was. Maybe not. Okay. So we talked about fasting. We talked about a little bit about food. We're going to come back to food in a second. All right. Some of the other things with insulin resistance that you can do, and we talked about this yesterday, is get sleep. We do not get enough sleep, and, the woman I was talking to last night, I gave this example. There was a doctor that I was listening to, and he was asked a question like, "There's all these guys, Grant Cardone, all these guys. You're like, I can live on 5 hours of sleep, and I function just fine." And so his answer was this: the percentage of people who only get 5 to 6 hours of sleep and thrive and don't have any health issues, that percentage is zero. They may be able to function fine in the short term, but in the long term, it's going to start causing problems in their body, like insulin resistance. We need our rest so that our body can start to understand how to utilize energy and just get ready for the next day of busyness. 5 to 6 hours for most of us is just not going to be enough, and it's going to cause ill health. So we need to make sure we're getting good sleep. So, and I struggle with this with ADHD. I struggle with this too. So last night I had to remind myself, and thank you, Maria, for our call yesterday, because it reminded me how much I need to shut down electronics, blue light, anything before I go to bed, to allow my brain to shut down, for me to get to sleep, and for me to have the rest I need to wake up and function the next day. So I slept great last night. But yeah, get rid of those things. About an hour before you go to bed, you want to stop having a lot of blue light so your brain can start to shut down and you get the rest you need to start being more insulin sensitive. The longer you sleep, by the way, the less you're awake for that fasting where somebody said, "But I'm hungry all the time." Sleep it off. Like, you eat dinner at 6, you go to bed a few hours later, you don't snack in between, you sleep for 6 to 8 hours, hopefully 8 hours. Now we're looking at already 10 hours into that fasting window. You just wake up, have the tea, wait for a few hours, have your meal, and you've hit your fasting window. I skipped a bit with fasting because once glucagon was out at 10 hours, and then these other hormones come out at about 12 hours. At about 14 hours, now the body is set up to start doing fat burning and clean up. That's why a 16-hour fast, it gives us 2 hours where our body is really functioning to reduce insulin resistance. I'm going to go over the products in a minute because this is the hunger part that I can't fast. I struggled with that too. Looked at fasting for a long time and was like, it sounds so amazing, but I don't think I can do it. Okay. So we'll go over that. Now, stress is one of the other big issues for insulin resistance. Whew, in today's world, how are you going to get less stress? Well, in this day and age, you're going to need to be a little bit more mindful. Stop focusing on the negative, start focusing on the positive. Do daily affirmations, do some meditations, allow your brain some rest, get the stress down in your system. Stress is interesting because when you have insulin resistance, it creates less energy to the brain, and you tend to start having more problems with stress. So they're bidirectional, right? If we get the stress down, the insulin sensitivity goes up, insulin resistance goes down. When the insulin resistance is up, we have this problem with cortisol and stress. Okay. How long should it take us to drink the tea? It depends. Maria, some days I will be on fire and just, I might drink this within an hour. And then some days this one tea might last me till noon. And then I'll go mix up another one and have another one this afternoon. There is no time limit or perfect time for you to drink the tea. I've drank the tea almost as a shot a couple of times, just when I needed extra energy and was in a situation where I couldn't have my mug with me. And so then I mix it up in less water like this, and then drink it like that. I wouldn't recommend that all the time, but yeah, there's no prescribed time. Just sip on it. You finish it when you finish it. If you finish it in a half hour, fine. If you sip on it longer, all that's going to happen is it's just going to deliver the nutrients and the chlorogenic acids that are giving you energy and whatnot a little bit more of a longer extended time period. Okay. All right, so we were talking about cortisol and stress. So just do the things necessary to get your stress levels down. Try to sleep. Get away from the blue light. Same thing as the sleep. Meditation, mindfulness, all of that can help. right? Understand though that supporting us becoming insulin sensitive might require more work with this anxiety piece because it is so bidirectional. The cortisol levels and insulin levels are so linked that we have to affect them both at the same time. Okay. Now, there are some foods I really want to talk about super quick because there's a lot of emerging science. So, there's a couple of foods. If you've been with me before, you've heard this before. But if you haven't, you might learn something new today. So, as far as fruits, the fruits that I love the best are for insulin resistance are going to be berries, right? They're low glycemic, so it means less sugar, higher in fiber, really high in nutrients and polyphenols, really good stuff for your body. Berries don't spike your insulin as much as other fruits and vegetables will. Okay. Berries are an amazing choice. I love blueberries and raspberries. Those are the two that I love the most. Strawberries from time to time. Blackberries are never been my favorite, but berries of any sort, darkly colored berries, are going to be really healthy for you if you need that sweet treat. Pears, though, when we're on fruits and vegetables, pears are amazing because they have high fiber, they're low glycemic, so lower sugar, and the fiber's helping with the sugar, but they're also really high in something called chlorogenic acids, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Those chlorogenic acids help you with insulin sensitivity, help you with your blood sugar regulation, help your brain have energy. Pears are amazing. They're one of the fruits that I haven't had them for a while because they're out of season, but when they're in season, I have pears a lot in my fridge for that sweet treat kind of thing. So those are two. Now, navy beans, not red beans, not black beans, not great northern beans, not any of those beans, but navy beans contain a component in them that helps slow down the breakdown of sugar in the body. When we eat, when we're chewing, our body starts to create enzymes for us to break down this food so that we can utilize it and get it to the cells of our body. One of those enzymes that's created is something called amylase, and amylase breaks down sugar so that we can get quick energy from it. But remember, we're already getting in too much sugar, and this affects women more than men. As we get older, that amylase builds up. Now, anytime we have a carbohydrate, so ladies, put your hand up. If when you're older, now you feel like you can't have carbohydrates because every time you have them, something goes wrong. Like you just are so carb sensitive, it could be because of that buildup of amylase in the system. One physician that I listened to said about a quarter cup of navy beans 4 times a week can help with this. When we're children, we need amylase because we need that quick energy. We're growing and whatnot. But as we get older, we don't need it as much. And it's really breaking down the sugar too quickly so that we're still fighting an uphill battle with insulin resistance. So, adding in some navy beans to your diet about 4 times a week, and I love them. I will put them alongside my steak when I eat it or my chicken, it doesn't matter. I made some white chicken chili and I used the navy beans for that, and a lot of fats. Like there's actually cream cheese in there, cream, chicken stock, spices. But navy beans are the beans I put in that chili because I want this regulation of amylase, slowing down the amylase, breaking down sugar in my system. Okay, so navy beans. So we have berries, pears, navy beans. The fourth food that's really amazing that I really want to talk about for insulin resistance, but there's a lot of really new science that this actually works really well for your heart and for diabetes, which is insulin resistance, both of those. Okay, and it is, drum roll, red meats. Okay, so I'm not saying eat steak or hamburger every meal, but I now have a steak or hamburger, some type of red meat, as one of my meals almost every day. And I never used to, but I'm feeling better. My platelet counts are better. Um, my iron counts are better. It does. You have tachycardia and it works for you. Yes, yes. So red meats are far more important than they've led us to believe. One of the issues with red meats, as far as all those food marketers go, is they're very satiating. If you sit down and have a steak and put that steak in your mouth first and then follow it with the potato and the vegetables, you're going to notice that you're fuller longer. You have more sustained energy. You have more natural muscle tone. Red meats are really important. So if even if you feel like you can't do them every day, you need to get them in multiple times a week. There's so much science about how it helps your heart and diabetes. And so we need to start reintroducing red meat back into our diet. Okay. It's important. And it's been lied upon for so long. And I think it's probably because if people ate more red meat, which they perceive as being expensive, they're buying a lot less of the other processed foods, right? Because they're just more satiated and have the energy and sustainability that they need. Okay. So, foods, a couple of the other foods that I want to talk about now. We talked about some really great positive foods, right? Berries, pears, navy beans, protein from red meat. I'm going to say, you can work in salmon a couple of times a week or some really fatty fish for those omega 3s. And I usually get in chicken in the form of eggs or chicken at least once a day as well. But I'm highly focused on proteins to help keep my insulin levels down and my energy levels up. All right. Now I want to talk about a couple of things that are more negative that we want to avoid for insulin sensitivity. And the first one is going to be fruit juice. When we talk about fruit juice, a lot of people will be like, but there's vitamins and minerals and there's so many really good things with fruit juice. Why are you so hard on fruit juice? Why are you bully fruit juice? Well, because fruit juice is just the fructose, the sugar in fruit. By the way, the only place that can deal with that sugar is your liver, and the only place that can store it is your liver. Excess fructose is not going to subcutaneous fat, the fat around our body. It goes to our liver, and now our liver starts to get fatty and sick, and then you end up with cirrhosis and whatnot down the road as this fat builds up. Fruit juice is just that fructose that only the liver can deal with, unwrapped from fiber. So now that energy is all going into your system right away. The system is already insulin resistant, and so it has to get stored. And again, where is it going to get stored? Is it going to get stored on your arms, your legs, your butt, your neck? No, it's all getting stored in your liver, and it's causing your liver to work way harder than it needs to be. So enjoy your fruits, but eat the fruits that have their fiber with them, which is your whole fruits, and stop relying on fruit juice. It's not the healthy choice that it was uh, sold to us as being, right? It's just not a healthy choice. So it's so bad that Dr. Bickman, my legs are cold. Dr. Bickman, who wrote the book Why We Get Sick, has said now he would not give his kids soda all the time. But if he was given a choice between soda and fruit juice, he would choose fruit juice, or not fruit juice, soda, because it's going to do less damage to his kids' liver and cause less of the insulin spikes than fruit juice would. So get rid of it. Now, I don't drink very often, but um, like when we go on rewards trips and whatnot, it's an open bar and I'm around people I love and I'm going to have a few drinks. But I was always having these fruity drinks. Ladies, we drink the fruity drinks. Well, they have a lot of fruit juice in them. Now you're combining fruit juice with alcohol. What happens to your liver in that situation? You are destroying your liver. Stop the fruity drinks. Okay. Um, All right, so that we did fruit juice. Oh, yes, that's the next one. The next one that's negative that I want to talk about, and it's really important, is fats. Seed oils, vegetable oils are omega 6s. They have some components in them that increase inflammation. It's linoleic acid. That increases inflammation. The inflammation increases insulin resistance. Inflammation increases insulin and increases the resistance of getting insulin into the cells because the cells are already inflamed and they don't want more energy in them. So now they're more resistant to insulin. The problem is that a good ratio, we can eat omega 6s and we should, but the ratio is about 1 to 1. And really, you're going to get omega 6s from your whole foods. So a good ratio is 1 to 1. And science is saying, well, maybe we could push it to 4 omega-6 to 1 omega-3. But most of us are not in that situation. Most of us, on a count, a ratio, it's 20 omega-6s, high in linoleic acids, causing inflammation, causing more insulin resistance, and only 1 omega-3. And the omega-3s actually help fight that inflammation and help insulin sensitivity. So switch, and we talked about this last night too, where we want to get rid of seed oils, so people are buying olive oil, avocado oil. It's a trick, you guys. Yes, avocado oil, olive oil are great for you, but you want to make sure they're in dark glass bottles. If they're in a plastic bottle, it's a seed oil with enough olive oil in it for them to market it as olive oil, but it's not olive oil, pure olive oil. You want to go spend a little bit extra on that really good olive oil that's in a dark green or brown bottle that is sourced from one source, and now you start to have better health. This is so important that it's only been 3.5 years that I've been on the system. Whenever I get a hold of foods that are high in these omega-6s, I will, within an hour, have gastrointestinal problems. I will have upset stomach. I will get gastritis. I will have all of those things. I didn't notice it before because that's the state my body was in all the time. I didn't know what was causing it. I'm going to tell you, omega-6s, those seed oils, those vegetable oils will cause you to feel some kind of way, whether it's gastritis, gastrointestinal distress, maybe you're getting diarrhea or gas and bloating, all of that, but it's also impacting your insulin resistance. As you get more insulin sensitive and start to cut some of these foods out, you'll start to see how much they impact your health. Okay, so those are the things with foods. Now, when we're going to talk about the system a little bit, because some of the ways that we can actually get better from insulin resistance, implement all the things I just talked about, right? So eat the rainbow, limit your sugar, get some exercise, get good sleep, reduce your stress, get some red meats in and focus on proteins first. Yes, absolutely, Maria. Cook with grass-fed butter. Okay. I use grass-fed butter in my kitchen. It's the primary oil. I have a little bit of olive oil, but the primary oil I use is just butter. I cook in butter. I bake in butter if I bake. I use butter in my soups and everything. It's really a good, healthy fat. Now, if it was so bad for you, I would still have high blood pressure and cholesterol buildup. I don't. So, what's the devil about butter? It's actually healthy. Okay. So, yes, you can cook in butter. I do it all the time. And I don't have those gastrointestinal issues my for the oils I use. So eggs, I missed that one, you guys. Let's backtrack a little bit, and then I'm going to dive right into the protocol. Eggs, if you're going to do eggs, this is another really weird, interesting thing. But if you boil the egg, the moisture from the egg is contained inside that eggshell, right? And boiling the egg changes the protein profile and allows the protein to be more readily metabolized by your system, more so than a fried egg. Okay, so what I do now that I understand that, is on my fasting days, I'll boil up a dozen eggs, peel them, put them in the fridge, and then I do that viral egg boil recipe. So Maria, yes, I will take my boiled eggs. I make this broth for them that has butter. It has some cream in it. Sometimes it has chicken stock and it has spices. So I can make it salty and savory. I can make it spicy, but whatever. There's tons of recipes out there, but I use those boiled eggs, 4 to 5 of them in that that broth that's fats and herbs, and that has been working wonders for me too. And I'm shocked. Boiled eggs will also, because of the retention of that liquid, make you stay fuller longer than a fried egg will. So, if you have problems eating just raw boiled eggs, like I love them with a lot of salt on them, but it is hard to eat them all the time. By the way, those boiled eggs that are in my fridge, if I feel like I have any breakthrough hunger on those my eating days, I just have a half a boiled egg or a boiled egg. It's really not going to spike my insulin. It's going to give me energy and satiety and all of that. use boiled eggs and find just amazing ways to cook them. Google the viral boiled egg recipe. You'll find all kinds of recipes. All right. So now we're going to get to the feel great system, and I'm going to talk about why with all of this stuff we want to do this. The system really is a tea that I have in the morning, which is what I've been drinking on now. And I will have another one this afternoon when this one is done, probably about the time I eat. There's no hard and fast rule on that. And then I have a fiber. Now, the system comes with one fiber a day, and for most people, that's perfect, right? You have it before your meal or with your meal with the most carbohydrates in it. But native gut and all. That might not make sense to most of you, but we have a different gastrointestinal system. I love having the fiber because it helps my gut function. In fact, it's taken a while. It didn't happen right away, but I've always, because of native gut, had severe IBS. I went from being constipated to having diarrhea, and this was happening from the time I was a child, and we didn't understand it. And as an adult, it became worse and worse, and it impeded me being able to go places because it was almost like on the verge of a Crohn's type disorder. In 3.5 years of using the system, that has all cleared up. And every time, this is very personal, but this is important to most of us. If you're suffering, you get it. But every time I use the restroom and it's normal, I want to do a happy dance, because remember, I lived almost my entire life, over 50 years, never having normal bowel movements. As my gut has cleaned up, as my insulin has become more sensitive in my body and not overrunning my body, that has cleaned up. So now I don't have this extreme gas and bloating after I eat. I don't have all the crazy urgency problems that I used to have. That's worth it too. But that's also telling me that my insulin resistance is under control. When that normal stuff happens, and you guys, I used to work in medical offices, so I had a lady one time bring me a stool sample, and she just brought it in, no gloves, just in a paper bag, and plopped it on my desk. I'm like, ooh, yay me! Let's go find some gloves. So I've been dealing, and you know what? It's part of our life, right? We eat, we got to eliminate. Okay, so the system: a tea in the morning, a pre-meal drink before we eat. The tea gives you energy, satiety. This helps shut down your hunger. Maria, if you're still here, how is your hunger while you're drinking the tea? Is it good? Is your hunger slowed down, or is it still really out of control? But this also is really high in chlorogenic acids. Why this tea? One of the things I want to say is yerba mate tea has really great benefits. Dr. Huberman has talked about it. Many people have talked about it. But why this is golden is this is a concentrated form of that yerba mate tea, which in its traditional drink is a pretty lengthy process. You can go Google it, but it's not just a mix tea up in water and drink it. It's a lengthy process. It's a healthy process. But this takes all of that, makes it so that I can just mix it in water, just pour this in water, drink it down. It's 375 times higher in chlorogenic acids than any bagged tea out there. And it's been purified. So pesticides and toxins are removed. We also are not having the stems and stuff that don't carry the components. This is the leaf. So a lot of the yerba mate you get is just like I remember when we picked blueberries, there was like a rake bucket that would just like rake everything off, and then we'd have to sit and pick out leaves and stems later. It's kind of how they traditionally do yerba mate. So you're getting a lot of the components or pieces of the plant that don't really do you any good. This condenses it so that it's just the stuff that we need for insulin resistance. It's also really great for heart health. There's some naturally occurring caffeine in it. People get really afraid of that. I get that. With my blood pressure that was 180 over 150, I was terrified. But I also knew I had to change something, and nothing else had worked. So I did it. And lo and behold, yes, it took over a year for my blood pressure to fully normalize. But my blood pressure runs 112 over 70 now. I'm also very aware of some of these other pieces. Getting exercise helps your blood pressure. Getting good sleep helps your blood pressure. Getting rid of anxiety and depression and focusing on the good stuff in life helps your blood pressure. Your diet definitely helps your blood pressure. This actually helped is part of what I attribute to helping reverse my insulin resistance, but also my hypertension. A tea in the morning, a tea in the afternoon, and a pre-meal drink before you eat. And that's as simple as it is. You still get to eat the foods you love. If you're vegan, you get to eat vegan foods because it's gluten-free and halal. If you love Mexican food, you can have that. So we were talking about breads and tortillas and whatnot, and there's a cottage cheese tortilla recipe. But hey, look, I don't know how many of you who are Hispanic, I have Hispanic family members. If I went to those grandparents or those families and said, hey, I'm going to give you cottage cheese tortillas, they would be upset at me. They would be really upset at me. So you can still have your corn tortillas, your flour tortillas. You're just going to limit them. And when you have them, you're going to have this first to help with that glucose spike so that you're not having excess insulin in your system. This makes it easy. Now, I know I have some clients who do two of these when they have those meals where they have a lot of bread or tortillas and whatnot, just to give that extra added protection against the glucose in there. But one a day is all you have to do. Now, I still, like I said, do more than one a day because I like it. It does so much good for my gut health. It not only is it helping my insulin resistance, but in doing so, it's helping build good gut microbiome. With this, it's been shown to reduce a blood sugar spike on a high carbohydrate meal of up to 43%. The other fibers, in the canister, the green or the orange ones, they will reduce a blood sugar spike, if we're lucky, by 10%. But because of the formulation of this and the type of fibers that are in it, it will reduce a blood sugar spike up to 43% and an insulin spike well over 15% in those instances. Okay, so that's why this works. Um, Fiber. Let's talk about fiber really quick, and then I think I'm almost done for this morning, unless you guys all have questions. Um, Fiber is super important, but there are different types of fiber. Each food has its own type of fiber, and each one activates and does different things. So there's soluble fiber, there's insoluble fiber, and most commercial fibers you get are the insoluble kind. That's really good for cleaning you out. So you think of celery and bananas are the two biggest ones where they have the strandy fibers in them. That's insoluble fiber. But even today, our bananas have less of those because they've modified it out. All right. Those fibers are great for making you poop. They can regulate the blood sugars a little. That's why that works with some of these others. But the soluble fibers, they make a gelatin mass. So now we have these long strandy fibers that make a basket weave, and then we have these soluble fibers that are more gelatinous. I always think of flubber when I get to this point. But now that gelatinous fiber that soaks up water but doesn't get digested also starts to encapsulate some of the fats and sugars we eat, helping slow down that sugar spike. And because of the fiber matrix that's in there, the gelatinous portion of the fiber is held together and sustains better through your whole digestive process. So that's a little technical, but the fiber really works. So 7 different types of soluble and insoluble fibers that are specifically included because they've been proven to affect blood sugars and these metabolic issues. Not just, oh, we're making a fiber drink, and so we're going to grab the cheapest kind of fiber we can find and we're going to throw it in there. We're going to say it's really healthy for your heart because everybody knows that extra fiber is good for your heart. No, this is scientifically designed amazingly, perfectly for this problem. Now, with that, it's been approved by Health Canada. It's been approved by, I can't say it's been approved by the FDA, although it doesn't have a stamp on the FDA, but it's allowed because it's a real food product. But in the US, it's the PDR, the Prescriber's Digital Reference, where medications are listed. This system, both products are listed in the Prescriber's Digital Reference, even though they're real food products. In fact, our company has 18 different real food products in the Prescriber's Digital Reference. We're the only company with that much real food that's sustainably helping health that's in the Prescriber's Digital Reference. Why did I mention Health Canada? Because Health Canada is some of the most stringent regulations for supplements and whatnot in the world. And the fact that it got approved by Health Canada means that there's some real efficacy to it. Also, the doctors and the pharmacists that have actually used the product and not just read about it, they've all become believers and have been recommending it as well. We have a cardiologist up in Wisconsin who uh, recommends it to every single patient that walks through the door. And we have holistic health practitioners. I was mixing up a bunch of words in my head. So, holistic health practitioners who used to give their clients these big long spreadsheets like I used to have of all of this stuff that they could take, berberine and sea moss and your salts and lemons and blueberry, wild caught blueberries and kale and all of these things, what turmeric, all of these things. They have this big long list of all the stuff that these clients were supposed to do, and it was inundating. And they would have to watch this list and be like, okay, at this time of day, I'm eating this. And at this time of day, I'm having that. A lot of these holistic health practitioners have ditched most all of that and are allowing themselves to just recommend the system because it works so well and it has done more for their clients than these big, long prescriptive things of all these dozens of different supplements they have to get. Hey, Steph, good to see you this morning. Okay, so KG, you had a question. What's your question? You didn't speak it out loud, but you're pondering something. So tell me what it is that you're questioning, and let's go over it before I hop off today. So understand that there's a lot of things that you can do to help yourself with insulin resistance. There are so many ways, little tweaks we can make to help us become more insulin sensitive. Now, I had done all of those tweaks and I wasn't feeling better. I just wasn't getting better. Maybe slowly, but I didn't feel like I was making any progress. So, when I found this system and I gave it a shot, I started noticing results right away. And Steph and I have worked together for years. And we used to have meetings every week, and we would have to practice for what we were talking about. And we would have to get together and have these meetings. I started my system on a Sunday. On a Wednesday, we were on a Zoom call going over what we were going to be teaching. And she stopped the meeting and said, "Wait a minute, what did you do? Because you have more energy, you're happier, like just something is different." She knew. And so then I told her about the system. And actually, I do direct sales, obviously. And Steph was so impressed by the change she saw in me that she became one of my partners immediately because she'd been working with me for years. And she personally saw the drastic change that happened in less than 6 days of me using the system. So the system is called the Feel Great System. You get it in my link up above. Now, I want to address this. Please save yourself the problems. Do not go to Amazon, eBay, Walmart. Use someone who's reputable with the company like myself to order it, because when you go to those other places, those warehouse clearance places, they're not authorized. There is no authorized seller on those markets. And so you don't get the 90-day money back guarantee. You don't get the low price guarantee. You don't get the quality guarantee, and you don't get coaching from me or somebody like Steph, who's an amazing nurse. Okay, so you have to order through our links. And why? That gives you the 90-day money back guarantee. It makes sure that you're not overpaying for the product. We know that the product has been handled and treated in a way that when you get it, it's going to be the best for you, and it's not expired, it's not pirated, it's not any of that. And we know that it's been cleaned of a lot of these pesticides and toxins so that now you have the healthiest product you can get. That's why I use the link. Okay. Most people that I've talked to that bought off of Amazon, eBay, because they thought, oh, I'm just going to go order it. It's okay. It doesn't work that way, you guys. They got pirated product. Some of them got expired product. Some of them didn't get the whole system, and they paid at least $100 more than they would have had they just used the link. So use the link. It's in my profile. I'll drop it here on Facebook right now. When you go to that link, by the way, that's my landing page. And why is this not working? There we are. You'll notice there's a short website there that talks about my story and these products. There is my link to WhatsApp, so you can just reach out to me and talk to me Maria, I got to talk to her yesterday. Amazing. It's so good to be able to talk to you guys that are on my lives every day and actually, hear your voices, hear your struggles, hear your successes, and help you out. So my WhatsApp is there, the link to order is there, my website is there. You guys go use the link, take a look and get the system. When you do, I will see it. You'll get some text from me. We're going to hop on the phone. I'm hopping on the phone on Thursday because somebody's receiving her stuff Thursday. I'm hopping on the phone today. There's other people who just received their stuff. So I do get on the phone and help you understand how to use the system. But the system is a tea in the morning. I got off track. A tea in the morning, a tea in the afternoon, antioxidants, anti-inflammatories, good for your cardiovascular health. It also gives you a ton of energy, is really high in something called chlorogenic acids that can actually get energy and nutrients to the brain. And it increases satiety so that you're not hungry all the time. Okay. The energy you get from this doesn't leave you feeling crashed and jittery. It's very sustained because of these other components in it. The second piece of the system is this fiber that we drink just before meal. I'm just going to mix it up because I like to drink it in the morning just for my gut health. So I just tore the top off of that packet. I usually put my water to about the tea on the bottle, and then I'm just going to put it in here. Now, as is normal, because I've been doing some extended fasting, I'm going to add some electrolytes to it, which you can do. Okay, this one is Element electrolytes. I'm also giving Dr. Berg's electrolytes. I don't get paid for them. It's just what I use. So I'm just going to put that together in there with my fiber. Now I have electrolytes for the day because of my fasting. Whoops. And I have a tea tip over. I shake it a couple of times. That's it. Now I'm going to drink it down because it's going to get thick really quick. That was mango chili lime electrolytes. Woo! Okay. But that's it. That's all it is, you guys. That's as easy as it is. Now, if I was going to eat right now, I could go have my meal. If I wanted to have pizza with my grandson, and when I get to Kentucky in a little over a month, we have a sleepover planned. We're having pizza. I'm having diet sodas. We're just having a little hangout party with my grandson. This helps me get through all of that pizza and stuff. Yes, it's super easy. It tastes delicious. Now, Steph, you wrote something and I missed it earlier. She said she went from a size 14 to a size 6 in 4 months, even in menopause. So the pictures up above, or the pictures right over here on Facebook, YouTube, that's me when I started, and the purple shirt is where I'm at now. The other picture is a great friend of mine who's also a smoker, has high anxiety, has a bunch of other issues going on. Yeah, her life is just in distress. But she went from the picture where her belly is huge, like that's insulin resistance belly, you guys. If your belly pokes out like that, that's insulin resistance, to having not the same figure she had when she was 20, but she has a more normal figure now. She moves through life better. Her anxiety is less, her depression is less. All of that got better by addressing her insulin resistance. Okay, guys, I'm going to head out and we'll be back tomorrow to talk about another piece of insulin resistance. Maybe I will dive into let's talk about weight. Oh, sure. What was it I took? So it's super simple. I just had some water. Both of the products, by the way, you're going to use water and you're just going to mix this into it. Never pour this in first and then the water on top. It's a packet that has 7 different soluble, insoluble fibers in it. It has phytonutrients. It has vitamins and minerals. It was actually specifically designed to help with metabolic health. I'm all kinds of mess right now. So that's it. This before my meal, this in the morning, and this. So this is a tea, and I got a message yesterday. Somebody was confused because they were like, well, I need to order the tea. No, please. I don't want you guys to spend more money than you need to. There are 2, so 60 tea included in the package for you. So the yellow packages are the tea. the orange package, or you may choose to get the berry flavor. These packages are your fiber, but this is why I hop on the phone with you when you get your system, so we make sure that you know what to do. Now, I could have said, "Oh, hey, here's the link for the tea. Yeah, go order some more tea." But you know what I told her? You're getting tea in the system. I don't want you to spend more money. Utilize what you've got. And absolutely, if you want to buy more tea later, I'll help you with that. But I'm not here to take all your money. I'm here to help you feel better in a sustainable way. Okay. Oh, TikTok verification process. All right. So just making sure I've gotten all the questions answered. All right, you guys, I appreciate you being here. We'll talk more tomorrow. I do want to talk about weight loss, calorie counting, this whole idea of intermittent fasting a little deeper tomorrow. It is a natural GLP-1. We talked about that a little bit earlier. And so we'll talk about GLP-1 a little bit tomorrow too in a weight loss segment. I'll explain what GLP-1 is, why it works, and the difference between the GLP-1 in this and those injections that you're getting, and why this is a safer alternative to all that. We'll talk about all that tomorrow. So join me live then, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day. Steph, it was amazing to see you. Have a good day.